Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
We'll give it to 10 for folks to join.
Yes, please.
All right, cool. All right,
Yep.
there we go. All right, so today we're gonna it's called the 301 class on ChatGPT. So the what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover off how you can analyze offers using ChatGPT. As with all things, I caveat this and say it's meant to be efficient, but remember that you still have to do some work because it can't do everything for you, and it's not always 100% accurate, but it can save you a boatload of time in going through and evaluating multiple offer scenarios. I know some of us don't have those right now, but even if you have one offer, it's a great way to be able to grab all the information and get a quick summary.
Hey,
Um,
Glenn,
yep.
if I could just stop you for a second, could you just make your screen a little bit bigger?
Yeah, let's see if this does that work? No?
No.
Okay, give me a sec. Let me see if I can any better?
Yeah, that's better.
All right.
Thank you.
Um, so the way that the process works is very similar to how we did the home inspection items. And I could tell you that I just had the home inspection process that I just used. It saved me a deal. So, and it was because it came up with a pretty creative way of answering the question of how do I deal with this major inspection issue. I had a chimney that was literally dragging the house down. So it was pulling the house down in the middle, and it came up with alternatives and options that I did not think of off the top of my head. So the offer analyzer, so there's some catches to it. So if you have more than 10 offers, you have to basically run the process twice. ChatGPT can only do 10 files. So the limit there is 10 files. I'm not sure we're seeing many of those nowadays. There's a few and far between for ones that are over 10. But the process is you have to train it. So I'm going to show you in this how to train ChatGPT. And this applies to anything you want to do. It's not just for offer analyzing. And then I'm going to show you what the ultimate outcome will be. There's a couple of different screens I'm going to share as I go through this. One is I have a particular offer spreadsheet that I use when I do a comparison, and what I'm doing is I'm populating that the compare sheet with information that's going to be related to offer summaries. So let me show you that over here. Gotta jump between the screen here, so give me a second. Okay, so ChatGPT is based on some rules, right? And this is when I do offer comparisons, we basically go through, and this is very tailored to New Jersey, but it can be, anyone can create anything they want. I'm going to hit some pluses here so you can see what it is. But basically, financial terms, and I refer to the contractual line numbers in here. So for instance, the initial contract price is line 44, earnest money is line 45, seller concessions line 42. You notice that I have line numbers attached to some of these. For anything that I want to be very, very specific and very accurate, I have referred to the line number in the contract because ChatGPT will read it and it'll go across and create this line number. So this spreadsheet is ultimately what I want to populate. But I want to do that by using ChatGPT for the bulk of the work because I don't want to go in and enter this. I'm lazy, so I don't want to enter all the information. So ChatGPT will do that for me. Now, let me just make sure that you're seeing the correct screen over here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, so I've got you. So now on this offer analyzer, this is the raw output of what's going to get me to that spreadsheet. So I'm kind of walking you through the outcome, and then we're going to go create it. So the outcome is I uploaded 3 offers. That's what you see here, the 3 different contracts. The names don't matter as long as the files are separate files. So these are 3 separate offers that came from folders that I had on my Google Drive that were related to a deal that I recently did. And what I did was I said, I want them to be reviewed. I want the key terms to be taken out and plugged into a table, which ultimately will go into an Excel spreadsheet or a sheet or Google Sheet. I use Google Sheets. And it extracts the information based on the line number. Okay. Now, this back in the day would be a lot of programming, a lot of work, a lot of how do I do that? We're going to show you how you can do it with ChatGPT. And again, this is just for offers, but for anything that you're comparing, it will work. I'll give you an example, one more example. I have a license agreement for a piece of software that I was doing. I threw it into ChatGPT and I said, how does this compare to other licensing agreements? And tell me what I should note as key terms. And in seconds, I had things that I never saw in the document, right? And it was only a 3-page document and I still missed stuff. So if you're putting documents in here and asking it to analyze, it's almost like having a second check on everything that we do. So I'm going to show you, now we're backing up, right? We went from the ultimate destination is the Google Sheet. The table that you see on your screen is ultimately what ChatGPT will extract. And then I call this one the offer analyzer, right? So I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then we're going to go one more step back and actually create it. So I'm going in reverse here purposely. So the offer analyzer, what it will do is it'll take up to 10 files and it asks what I want to look at. Now, this screen that you're looking at is not your normal ChatGPT screen. This is actually a GPT, right? And what it will do is it's a pre-programmed set of rules. You notice that I started with the Excel spreadsheet or the Google Sheet because you have to have rules in order to tell it what to do. The rules for me are each line item wants to be populated. So if you want to have the rule of fill out this form, you better have a form to fill out, right? So you have to start with that. If you are comparing offers and your comparison is literally like you take this paper and you put it on a desk and you lay out 50 offers, this won't work, right? You have to have a format you're putting it into, a common denominator that you compare offers to. Now, the one cool thing I can tell you is when I moved to this back in early COVID for this spreadsheet, I send the spreadsheet over and then I say to the clients, here's the information. Which offer do you want to choose, right? And they can ultimately pick. It's very black and white, and I will tell you that the offers rack and stack themselves. They find their own norm because the data is the data, all right? Now, outside of that, I want to make sure that there's certain accuracy. So I tell the GPT, if you have a question about something, make sure that you note that you can't interpret the field. Like, I don't want you filling in what you guess. I want you to fill out only the things that you're positive on. And then I ultimately will get you to the point of entering that information manually in the Excel spreadsheet. So back to the GPT that you're seeing here, there's 2 screens here. And this is where it gets a little more technical. So this is where you want to definitely pay attention. On the left side is the configuration screen. On the right side is the preview screen. So you configure and then you test. You configure, then you test. That's going to be the process that you use. So I'm actually going to start from scratch. And I'm going to literally tell you what I would do if I was creating this GPT. And this process works for anything that you do on a routine basis that you want to create a GPT for. Listing descriptions, comparisons for home inspections, market analysis. I don't go on any listing appointments without doing my listing homework. Top 3 agents, what their performance is, how they're doing, how they market, how I market, give me the comparison, tell me about the neighborhood, tell me what people are griping about on Facebook groups. Before I go out to any listing, I know all those things, right? If you really want to get advanced, download from the MLS the data and then throw it in there and say, give me this analysis from the MLS data. And then you'll be able to really have an impactful one. I just recently outplayed an agent in Bergen County who I know comes out at a very low percentage. And I knew that they did because they had kind of a history of that. And I've done no deals with them, but everything online kind of said it. So I purposely worked that angle when I was negotiating my commission and delineated why we were different because I knew that. ChatGPT was the one who told me that. I didn't know it until ChatGPT told me. And I outplayed it, got the listing, right? And I think that the tool is there. It's a matter of how you utilize it. So again, anything you do in the GPTs is pretty powerful, but you have to know how to configure it. And here's the main ones I use. These are ones I've created. So, it's kind of funny because this one here is a back office one. I use a product called Sisu. When an offer comes in and we get an attorney review letter, we all know that attorney review letters alter the dates in the primary contract, right? So you can have the attorney review letter and then you have the original offer, and sometimes they're out of sync. In my system, every interaction with our client is driven off of a date. If the date's wrong, I'm going to tell them to do the wrong thing at the wrong time because our system's built that way. So this goes in and extracts from both the contract and the attorney review rider and finds what the most preferred date is. And then I plug it right in and all my dates are right in my system. So my transaction coordinators can't mess it up because they were always getting confused between the 2 dates. So just a powerful set of GPTs you can use. So now we are going to go back and create one. How do you create one? So first and foremost, if you go to the left side column in your main window, this is the standard ChatGPT window that you should see. So if I go back here, this is what everyone should look like. You might not have as much stuff on the left side as I do because I use it a lot. But when you go in, you'll just hit the button that says GPTs. And when it comes up, we're not going to use a template. We're going to create our own. And the way you create your own is in the top right-hand side. You click the create button. And now it's prompting you, right? And it's going to prompt me to create a GPT. Now, of course, I want it to be a listing analysis of offers, right? So I'm going to tell it exactly what I want. So here we go. I would like you to analyze or evaluate offers on my listing. I will provide a template in XLS, or I'll just say Excel format, and each line number referenced in the, and I'm not even going to worry about spelling right now, in the sheet should be extracted from the contract examples and placed into the correct column. Each column in my Excel file is an offer. So now I'm just going to fix my spelling error, and I'm going to say, if you don't know with great certainty that the data extracted is 100% correct, do not enter anything and place Glen fill out in the box. So now I'm going to hit enter on this. Now, notice that I said this just in plain English terms. It wasn't programmatic, wasn't anything else. I just said it the way I wanted it. Now I click the button and now I'm having a conversation with it. Now it's updating the GPT, which is the template that we're going to use again and again and again. A repetitive task is what a GPT is, something you do again and again and again. So it's updating the template, and now it's going to prompt me with some questions. It wants you to create a profile picture so you can identify it. It's going to do it based on the information that I've given. And that's, if anyone uses GPT for image creation, it takes a little bit of time. So I really don't care what this one looks like. This is fine, I'm going to say. So this image is okay. So it's updating the GPT again. What you're doing is you're having an interaction in a chat. It's just like a chat window, but it's a chat window to configure something that's recurring. So now it's saying you're all set. Try uploading your Excel sheet so that we can use it for the template, right? So now I have to provide it with my template so that it knows, what I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna go out to another screen here, and I'm not gonna show you that screen. I'm just gonna go find my template. Give me 1 second here. It's called compare. Where are you, man? Okay. I lost it on my screen. It's somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I'm just going to drag this over to the window. And this is the spreadsheet I showed you when we first started. So now that's the window. I'm going to say upload, right? Please upload one more contract documents so I can begin processing. So I'm just going to do one for now. And it's basically uploading. Once it uploads, this button will become available. Now, in the test mode, it won't necessarily extract all the data the way it will, but what it's doing is it's going through and learning the behavior. If everyone goes back to the very first session we had, I told you that I trained ChatGPT to be me, to sound like me, look like me, write like me, and things like that. This is how you do it. You basically upload your documents and it becomes smart because it's learning from what you do. So now, just asking me to hold on. It's extracting the documents. Now, there's going to be things in here that don't work initially. Now, here's the best part. You can fix it. So it's asking for a couple of points to proceed accurately. Could you confirm that each row number in the Excel consistently corresponds to a field? I actually didn't tell it the right instructions up front. So for item 1, the correct line number is actually, and I'm going to show you this. Let me just show you what this looks like real quick. So if you notice, It was asking me because I didn't tell it, and it's only going to be as smart as you tell it. So very, very specifically, it's asking me if line 13 is what it's referring to, and that is not correct. I have it in brackets here. So I have to tell it to look at the file, and anything that says line and then a number following it is the right one to use. So I told it the wrong instruction, and now I'm going to say, for item 1, the correct line number is actually in the column, and it will say line, then followed by a number. Let's see what it says for that. There it is. So now just plain text English, the way I see it, the way I say it, and it now knows that that's going to look that way, right? And now it asks the second question: should I populate the next empty column in the Excel sheet with data from the current? Offer 1, offer 2. Okay, so that one's good. I've processed the contract and filed it, filled in the Excel sheet accordingly. Here's the completed for your review. Okay, there it is. Okay, so now I just want to make sure that all that was good. Now there's certain things that I want to be done as I go through this process, right? One is I have to be able to properly test it. You're going to notice that it said it did the configuration, but it doesn't have the file done. This is a test window. This is one that you'll just continually be updating as you upload. So again, configuration to the left, test to the right. And I know that this is pretty complicated initially. Once you start to do it and you start to talk to it, you'll get a feel for this, trust me. So now if I want to do anything, I have to actually test over here. I'm just going to give it one contract and see what it has to say. There's the oops, I uploaded the wrong document. I want to do a contract. It already knows the Excel sheet. So I upload the contract. I'm going to wait for it to finish. And down below, this button will become available once the file is fully uploaded. And these are just the PDFs that the agent sent to me. That's all it is. Scanner image. So this one's saying that it's not an extractable format. It's going to perform OCR on the file. It's going to clean it up, and then it's going to do what I asked it to do. Now, here's something to note. If you have a file that's not text-based, meaning that it's not already in an Excel file, I mean, in a readable format, when it OCRs, there is room for failure. Here's where this doesn't work terribly well. If people, and rightfully so, handwritten offers, right? If you handwrite an offer, which I get once in a blue moon, it can't read it because people's handwriting is terrible, right? Even with the best of handwriting, you could potentially have an issue. So here's some words of caution. If you are handwriting offers, people are doing this, right? And your offer is left to be misinterpreted. I highly suggest you write offers using .loop or other digital formats, right? Because I can tell you that it could actually hurt you in the future. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you definitively, it will hurt you in the future because this is going to get better and better and better, and people are going to use this. And if you're handwriting offers, it's going to be a problem. I can tell you that for sure. I'm like one other comment. I don't think I've ever had a handwritten offer that won. So if you're handwriting, there's another thing to think about. And I'm not saying that it was a bias towards handwritten offers, just generally the offers weren't strong enough, right, to beat the other offers. So it tells me that the agents on the other side might be a little more progressive. I know that we don't want to use generalizations, but I'm just telling you what's coming in the future is going to be digital, and we're there. And we have the coolest tools on earth in our organization with .loop and things like that, right? So, so my suggestion is don't handwrite them. But if this file was handwritten, it wouldn't be able to read it. I do not suggest using GPTs for handwritten documents. Even if you have something that changes it to text, there is still room for error that's too much for anyone to use for this. So now, when I create this now, I need to constantly go in and do some work on it until it's tweaked the way I want. It's never perfect out of the gate. What it will do is about 80% right is what my estimate is. A lot of times it'll get it about 80% right. Once you start to use it, you're going to find something and go, well, why did it do that? I didn't want it to do that. You have to go back and edit the GPT. You have to go back and make it better each time because it's not smart enough to give itself its own feedback. It's doing what you're asking of it. So I'm going to show you how to do that because it's important, and that should probably cover us to the question and answer portion. So I'm going to say create. And I'm going to make this one. I'm just going to show it just for me, and I'm going to save it. And once it's saved, I'm going to view the GPT. So now this one is my offer evaluation assistant. That's what it's being called, right? My offer evaluation assistant. And if I drop in documents to compare contract-wise, it's going to have some kind of issue. I'm just dropping another one here. I keep using the wrong Excel sheet. That one's I don't want to do. And I want to do this one. That one's the updated contract. I'm just going to do 2 contracts here. Updated contract. They'll both upload. I'm going to click the button. So what it's doing now is it's extracting out the data from these. It's telling me the offer price. It's telling me additional deposits, which was a cash offer. And some of these fields, I'm going to forewarn you, they might not be right out of the gate. So you need to go back and do a comparison with a test group of contracts. Now, for me, I know that the additional deposit is definitely going to be wrong, right? I can look at that and I know based on the offer is wrong. So I have to tell it where to look. So now, how do I get to my GPTs to do that? So the same thing occurs. If I go back to the main screen and let me go here. Okay, I go to GPTs on the left-hand side, which are the configurations, and there's a button called My GPTs in the top right-hand side. If you click that, here's my offer evaluation assistant. I click the edit button, and when I have the edit button, now I can tell it what I'm going to do. The additional deposit number is not pulling correctly. And I'm just going to look in the PDF and see what that field is there. The PDF. Darn it. Okay. Sorry, my PDF writer is a little messed up here. Give me 1 sec. Give me 1 second here. Apologize. It's logged me out of my PDF. Okay. So the field 9 is in our contract. You can't see this, but for the folks in New Jersey, this line, additional deposit, is line 46. Okay. So I'm going to tell it to reference line 46. Reference line 46. So what it's done now is it's updated my GPT. And it's going and configuring it, and it gets smarter and smarter and smarter every time. This does require some tweaking. My GPT that works properly probably took me about 10 to 15 instructions to get it to the point where it was accurate. Now, here's the catch is that everyone goes, well, I don't have that kind of time. Well, I have to tell you, at last year, 181 deals, I don't have the kind of time not to do this. There's just no way on earth I could spend that much time on each of these. So I have to create a GPT that's functional to save me the time so I can do more deals, so I can make more money, so I can have more time to play games, right? And live life. So the GPT has to be constantly updated. When you do this instruction set update, go back and test it. Put the documents back in. It's just a cycle of testing. A typical GPT should take you about 3 to 4 hours. Maybe your first one will take you a little longer. And then once you have it tuned, you'll never have to do it again until a contract changes. If the lines on the contract form change, then you're going to have to do it. You're going to notice all kinds of wonky data, but that changes so rarely in our business that it's a pretty accurate thing. So when you finished in like these instruction set updates, all I do is hit the update button, and now my GPT is set and ready to be tested again. And I'll say view the GPT, and I'll go through the same process again and do it. All right, now I'll take questions. And I haven't looked at the chat in a bit. Let me go back to the chat too.
So there is the chat, there is a question saying, can you share the list of prompts you are going to use at the end of the meeting?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I'll do a screenshot, and maybe we can send that out, Adona. I'll do a screenshot of the GPT. That'll probably help. Again, mine is tailored towards New Jersey. If you're in another state, just make sure that it's tailored towards yours. Okay. What else?
Not everyone at once. I think this is definitely helpful, and regardless what state you're in, I know we have clients that prefer to sign it in person. They're not great tech savvy. You should always prepare your contract through Dotloop or any other source that you use to type your contracts and then have them sign it in person.
Yeah, and Nadona, you actually brought up a great point. So signatures on the contract is fine, right? The data fields are what really matter to GPT. But here's something that's pretty cool. How many times have you submitted an offer and you realize, oh, an initial box was missed on one of the pages, right? You can create a GPT that looks at that specific area and make sure, just as a pre-flight to the attorney, to see if the offer is done, right? So I have one that does that, and it also checks and creates an email summary for the attorney saying, hey, here's our offer, here's all the information, all the stuff that I hate doing, I create a GPT for. So
Wait,
if you want to do a pre-flight, just do a pre-flight and say our initials in all the boxes. And that way you're not missing one before your offer goes out and you look much more professional.
So
sorry,
Glenn,
when you're mentioning GPTs, do you mean prompts, chat prompts on the left?
Yes. So when you're creating a GPT, these are pre-programmed prompts. So all these YouTube descriptions, CSU extraction, listing agent research, these are
So,
all I pre-created these prompts with specific instructions from me.
and those are in the repository for GPT?
No, these are mine.
Okay, so
If
those
you
are
want to see all
technically
the
chats,
GPTs, just click on the left side, and then you'll have almost like a search window, like an app window here.
but you're not in there.
I don't publish mine publicly except for certain ones, but nothing that would be relevant to you guys. I keep, and here's the reason why. These are specifically how I do business, right?
Yeah,
Um,
of course. Yeah.
so that's part of the reason why I don't publish them.
Okay, yeah, it's just this whole thing is so new to everyone that the verbiage is all over the place.
It is.
So you're using the word GPTs as a descriptor for your chat prompts that you're automating in conjunction to what you're specifically doing.
Yeah, so a GPT is anything, a group of instructions that are grouped together, whether it's publicly available or privately, that pre-configured set is your GPT.
Okay.
So it's a set of instructions. Think of it as a cobbled together set of instructions to accomplish a task.
Yeah.
It's no different than if you had a 117 point listing presentation and you want to cover each point. If that was in, that's considered a GPT.
Yeah, I've been using it tremendously, so that's why it's very interesting to see how you're using it now. But yeah, thank you for clearing that up. I was
Yeah.
very confused. I'm like, wait, is it two different eco spaces or?
No, if I took my GPT and said make it public, it'll just push it right out and it's one of the library that's publicly available. That's exactly right. So
wow.
it's just a private GPT.
Oh, wow.
Glenn, I have a quick question. Have you used it to upload a seller disclosure and ask it to say, hey, what should I pay attention to this?
Electronic ones. If they're handwritten, I still sometimes get those. And you actually bring up a great point. So when my clients handwrite a seller disclosure, my admin team takes it back and digitizes it. And I'm saying this because I'm not just saying I'm not, trust me, I'm the biggest fan of all agents, right? But what I'm saying is that there's a tide coming that's going to keep us digital. And even that handwritten seller disclosure, I take it, put it back in and have them do a digital signature on it with their information exactly entered. And the reason I do that is I know people are using these tools to evaluate things and come up with questions. So it's much more accurate if I have it done digitally. So the answer is absolutely yes, Adona, I do.
That's awesome. This is definitely a game changer. And obviously, this is more beneficial if you have, I know some of you have listings that have like 40 offers. So I would rather spend 20 minutes or so telling it how to put it together than me going through 40 offers with my seller and trying to put them together. So this is a game changer for sure.
Yeah, and a good way to do it, if you had 40 offers, upload 10, 10, 10, 10, right? It'll narrow down to the top ones and then narrow down to the top 10 and put them all in one chat GPT. There's lots of ways to accomplish it. It's just what the amount of processing power that chat GPT takes, it has to limit this or no one would get access because it would throttle it and you'd never have enough capacity out on the wire to do that. But I use, like, just as a tangential conversation, we talked about sellers disclosures. We talked about checking for signatures. Like it's endless what you can do with it if you really think about all the things you do. And how much more impressive is it when when an attorney doesn't have to come back and say, hey, you missed a signature, right? Like, to me, that's reputation, that's being a good agent, that's doing my job. Have I missed him? Absolutely. Do I miss him now? Absolutely not. Because I put in place a process once I was embarrassed once to make sure it never happens again. And I think that that's the way I want you to think about the ChatGPT window and what you use it for. And make no mistake, it's a representation of you. So if it's programmed incorrectly, it's a poor representation of you as well.
That's awesome.
Madonna, with the screenshots, I'll add my Excel sheet too. That's not a problem.
Okay, awesome.
And as we move to the later ones, I just want to, I guess I'll give some information so people can do some homework, right? When we move into how you get found, right? Because I'm searching agents to know my competition on ChatGPT, right? And people are going to begin less and less searching Google and more searching ChatGPT for you. So now the question then is, how do you get found? Like, how do you come up as the top 1, 2, or 3 in a ChatGPT search? And if you search your name and realtor and say deep search, see what it says. Go in and see what ChatGPT thinks of you, what the population thinks of you, right? And if you're not racking and stacking, if you're not up in the top ones, you need to be. Now, depending upon which engine you're using, so like Gemini is Google based, ChatGPT actually uses Bing as the background. So Microsoft is the primary background search for it. If everyone on Earth is all about Google, 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 but ChatGPT is basing it on the initial blush of Bing. So if you're not ranked on Bing because you're not focused on how Bing does its search, you might not get found. And when people are saying best realtor in XYZ town, you may not get found if they do that in ChatGPT. So when we go to talk about that, I'm going to talk about how you, the places you go and what you do to better your ranking on ChatGPT so you're found. But just think about this as you leave the call. When you do a Google search, right, on something, you put in the information you want and it comes back with a ton of options, right? And then you have to whittle through each item until you find the content that you really want. ChatGPT, when you ask the question, it aggregates it and gives some rationale to the response. So you're getting the answer opposed to a bunch of options for the answers that you have to deduce. That time save is what the future is going to be. It's not going to be anymore, I'm going to Google this. That's a waste of time. And also, how many times have you had to go 15 deep to find the item that's actually what you were looking for when you did a Google search? So the relevance of a Google search is going to be lower, but in essence, it's important because people use Gemini. They will use Gemini. Google's going to push their product. If you want to be found, now you need to know how you're found on ChatGPT, on Gemini, on Grok, on all these platforms, opposed to I want to be found on a search engine, just a search engine. So it sounds daunting. It's not so hard, and I'll cover that. So do yourself a favor. Search yourself, not on the call. Search yourself, and then go out and search yourself on Google and search yourself on Bing, the search engine Bing. I know a lot of people don't use it. Search yourself on those and see where you come up, and search the way that people would look for you, right? Best realtor in, best listing agent in, those types of things, and see where you come up. And I think you'll be very surprised at the results. And in future sessions, we're going to talk about how you get better rankings that way.
Hmm.
Okay. Any other questions or anything from other calls? Anything? I still owe Adona a recording of last week. I will have that off sometime soon because we didn't hit the record button. And I'm just going to do a recording of it with the content that we had so that you know without the question and answer.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, if you joined late, next week, Glenn will be hosting his AI training at 9:30, not 10 o'clock. We'll send out a reminder again, but just make sure you are aware that it's at 9:30, just for next week.
Okay. Is there anything anyone in particular wants to see as we tail on to the other ones? I could probably add some things
Glenn,
onto the later sessions if you have anything that you want.
Glenn, this is Anne-Marie Bruno. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Hey, can you share the Excel spreadsheet with us?
Yes. I'm going to share it with the screenshots that were requested. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Anything else?
Great. Thank you, Glenn.
All right.
So
Thank
Glenn,
you.
Glenn,
Yep.
I
Go ahead.
was gonna say, I'm a little bit older than the standard agent that is using this as a tool right now, but I've become so kind of enthralled by it that I did something not real estate related, but I asked it about plotting a driving trip to Colorado, a city in Colorado. And it came back and it asked me all the questions that it needed in order to give me good information. And after that, it just laid out like a whole thing I would get from AAA on how long it was going to take, where I was going to stop, what I was going to see, and it really was amazing. So, I mean, the tool is there, and the more you use it, the more you'll be able to take advantage.
Yeah, and I think that your point is spot on, right? So some of you might know I recently ran a marathon. It was my first marathon ever. And when I did it, a week before marathon day, I was freaking out, right? I didn't know what to do. I was worried about food, fueling during marathon, what I had to do. So I put into it, I'm currently at this weight, I'm running at this pace. What does my lead up week meals need to look like? What does my training need to look like? And what does marathon day need to look like in terms of food, fuel, water, all that stuff, right? It came back with the most spot on plan with carbs on certain days and things on other days. And I literally used it during the entire run, and it was spot on. Like it took my data and made it for me, right? And that's so that it's not just, it's a powerful tool, but also, what if you were moving and needed a moving checklist? How many moving checklists out there are so generic? What if you said, I have a downsizer client and I want them to be able to move, but not lose their sanity? What are the key things that we want to do? Right? I guarantee you it's going to create a very good checklist that's not the stupid generic one we buy off of all these different Fivers and all these other platforms, and to be specific to those people. And you can start to tell they're golfers. They have a golf simulator. How do you move it? How do you, like, what you could include all that stuff and have a super customized plan. I kid, but I don't reply to emails unless it goes through ChatGPT now. So in other words, I copy, paste, put it out. Sometimes I use Gemini, but I prefer ChatGPT. And I'll ask it, make this email better. Every single email I get, make this email better, paste it in. And it gives a response that always makes me look good. It's better than what I would have done, always makes me look good. And that's the thing, it just elevates your game. I've improved my language and my articulation by using ChatGPT. And I think that there's just so many variables to it. And people, I put up a post the other day and I had a lot of calls on. I get a lot of calls on my posts. And one of them was, ChatGPT is going to replace us as realtors. And I had said, it will if you ignore it. If you don't ignore it and use it as a tool, you are going to be a powerhouse, right? It is an asset to us, not a burden. But if you're on the side of denying that it's coming, I think that you're at real risk and your business is at real risk. I genuinely believe it, right? But if you're, and nobody, I don't care who you are, I don't care what age you are not too old to talk to something. That's all it is. It's easier than what Steve Jobs wanted with the iPad, right? You can literally talk to this in the way that you talk and argue your point to get to what you want to get to, and it's going to create it for you. This is not a tool that is for just the young. That's the best part. Like, every agent can maximize their business using this. And that's why it should be so exciting opposed to this big risk to us, right? Will CMAs be done by it? Someone asked me that after last week's session. They called me up and said, do you think CMAs are going to be completely done by it? I said some of it, not all of it. I don't know any AI that can walk into a room and go, this bedroom's a closet. Like, it's small, right? That's a human feel, right? So realize that that's our value, right? Knowing specific things on the street is our value. Get everything else off your plate and be really good at the things that you can't do with AI. And that's what we're trying. That's why I say, let it be you. Don't let it be generic. Don't let AI take over and be the post with the same emoji every single time. Be you. And that's what's going to sell. So.
Wow, this is phenomenal. Thank you so much for putting this together for us. It's been very helpful. And I'm sure every day, every week we join you, we learn something new, including myself. And I have to say, now with my Tuesday mastermind, I used to have to write my own emails. So I started using ChatGPT. So for today's session for you guys, all I said is I copied Glenn's Baker week 6. And I was like, use the same email you did last week, but for this week. And it generated for me. And I said, okay, now make it into a text. And it did that for me. So it saved me so much time because it remembered, even though I cleared the fields and everything, it still remembered what I wanted to say, because I love to use emojis because that's when you grab people's attention. So it remembered the prompts that I wanted to use, except for this week. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone on the call can sympathize with me on this one. Like, you put out a marketing piece and you look at it and you're like, it's misspelled. the date's wrong. Like something goes out that has something wrong, you can literally have it review that. It's a second set of eyes. If you have offers, it can review your offer for you and tell you after you've drafted what you might have missed. Was there any fields I might have missed? So like it's an admin sitting right there and a trusted partner if you use it the right way. It's the coolest thing.
So for New Jersey, I just shared in the beginning that the seller disclosure was changed. So what I'm going to test this out. I'm going to include the old version and the new version and see if it can summarize and tell me exactly what changed. So, and I'll let you guys know if it worked.
Cool.
Thank you so much. If you guys don't have any other questions, that's it for today. Don't forget next week, 9:30, not 10 o'clock. So
Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah, and next week is blogs, press releases, and if you want to write a book. And trust me, you'll understand why as we're building to this. So, and then the video editing is the week after. Video editing, we're definitely running over, and it's going to be a boatload of fun. So,
Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody. Bye,
Thanks, everyone.
guys.
thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Yep, bye-bye.